Alright, so today I want to start a new series on why the book was better than the movie. I wanted to start with A Wrinkle in Time. Have it right here, got it from the library. I also listened to it on audiobook through the library. Enjoyed the book again. Read it as a kid and then watched the movie after I read the book, and I just, ugh, it was not good. And it's not, I think it was all in the script, the way that they told the story. They left important things out, and then things that should have been put in and made a big deal, they just didn't care about at all. I feel they just left out really important things while putting in things that didn't really matter. So I'd love to get into it. Obviously, spoilers all the way through for the book and the movie, and let's jump into it. The first big change in the movie is that they made Meg black. And as much as a lot of people think that's a big change, her character almost pretty much looked the same. I'm going to put on the screen here what a fan art depiction of what she looked like in the book, and then what the actress looked like as well. And I mean, it's not that big of a change. I think that's totally fine. Didn't bother me in the slightest at all. And actually, I thought it was pretty cool. The thing that they changed for the worst were the three misses. Mrs. Which, Mrs. Who, Mrs. What's It. I don't know if they wanted me to hate Reese Witherspoon's character, but I did. It was awful. Like, everything about her made me disappointed. I didn't like the way that she talked to Meg. I didn't like the way that they created her whole scenario. In the book, it was an endearing moment when you find out that Mrs. Witch was a star, and that to fight the darkness, she supernovaed, sacrificing her life as a star to fight the darkness. It made you really, really care about Mrs. What's It. But in the movie, she just mentioned it. It was like, yeah, I'm a star. I'm really old. And, you know, I was so disappointed in the way they handled that character. I mean, you really, really loved Mrs. What's It in the book. But then in the movie, you hated her completely. And then Mindy Kaling's character, who played Mrs. Who, she only spoke in English. And a huge part of what she did in the book is she spoke in different languages. She spoke in French. She spoke in Arabic. She spoke in Hebrew. All these different languages. And then she would explain what she said in English. But it was because it was explaining she transcended language in the way that she spoke because she was so old. You don't get any of that in the movie. It's just really, really... Let me throw out some quotes that I think are really cool. Now the one that I thought was actually pretty good was Oprah's character, Mrs. Witch. I think with her character, I mean, the makeup was weird, but, you know, it's fine. It's a visual movie. I totally understand that. I mean, it's even kind of neat. You know, I thought it was a neat idea, really. I just think we used her character way too often. I think it was like a situation where it was like, we paid all this money for Oprah, we're going to put her in a bunch of scenes. And I understand that in a movie aspect, but this movie was really about the kids, and I think we should have focused on the kids. I think that's really where the movie lost itself, even initially. By the first 30 minutes, I was done. Like, I knew this was going to be a bad movie, and I didn't see it getting any better. Now, being someone who really does like adoption, I did think the adoption of Charles Wallace was a really neat idea. I think that brought another aspect into the movie, and I thought that was really cool. It was definitely a interesting situation where they said, instead of Charles Wallace just being another kid, we're going to have him be adopted. So I think it's really cool that we brought the adopted community into the movie. That was something I thought was good. When I look at it, Meg's character in the book was so amazing. She had amazing faults, and she really struggled with her life, the way that she was dealing with things, and I was motivated by her to learn through that moment. I felt myself in her when she was struggling. The Meg of the movie had no faults. She was just moody. I feel like today's culture doesn't want to present girls as needing help, when in the book, Meg needed help. She needed Calvin. She needed Charles. She even needed her father. She needed the Ant Beast, which, you know, didn't even come up in the movie. We completely ignored Ant Beast, which Ant Beast was a huge part of the movie, where you looked at when Meg failed, She was down. She lost her brother. She was pulled to another planet, and Aunt Beast comforted her when it was a situation where she was the motherly figure, even the Holy Spirit figure, where it was endearing, where Aunt Beast comforted her and loved her and came to her where she was at and then brought her up with love and care, showed her the love and the care that she needed. The things that we saw with Meg in the movie, it was, hey, let me tell you how cool Meg is. The part that really got me, that I was like, this is ridiculous, is when they added the weird smoke rain tornado monster. And then all of a sudden, Meg gets this idea. She's like, oh, we're going to go get in this tree trunk. It's going to do the slingshot thing. And I did the math in my head and I got it. Okay, well, you want to use science to prove that Meg is so smart when we've already proved that before. The girl can name the periodic table, which we didn't go into in the movie because we didn't do any of that, because we didn't actually do the Red-Eyed Man well, which is a whole nother topic, which is frustrating because the Red-Eyed Man was a very good villain until you realize he's not even the main villain. But no, he's just a puppet in the movie. It's just so frustrating because they had so many great opportunities to make this movie good, and they just fell on their face with everyone. They said, we're gonna make Meg awesome. We're gonna give a whole bunch of Oprah, and we're not going to give Calvin really any parts at all. We're going to make the dad seem like a failure. We're not going to put in Aunt Beast, who's the comforter. We're not going to talk about all these things that were huge parts of Meg's character growth that we just ignore. And I think that's the problem with what we're doing now with women in film, where it's women can't have faults because we have to prove that they're strong. Well, strength comes from overcoming adversity. If we never give them adversity to overcome and show that sometimes you need someone to hold your hand and bring you through this moment, it's not just girls, everybody needs that. There are times when I need someone to hold my hand. And if we want to pretend like that doesn't happen, it's going to be a situation where women are thrown into the world with this false sense of security where they're like, I can do anything. Well, no, we can do anything together. You can't do it alone. This is a world where we're interconnected, where we need to be connected with one another. And I think the book shows that so well, where Calvin was the communicator, Meg was smart with math, and she had the connection to her father, and Charles Wallace had this crazy sixth sense that helped him out. And all three characters were needed. They were important. In the movie, it was Meg. Calvin was there to tell her hair was pretty and to go, man, you're awesome. Charles Wallace was there for maybe a little bit of comic relief and to become a zombie. That was it. And that made it not interesting. When we get to the Red-Eyed Man scene, like, I memorized the Gettysburg Address because of Calvin's using it to keep the Red-Eyed Man from hypnotizing him. When Charles Wallace purposely goes in and says, hey, I'm going to find out who this Red-Eyed Man is. And his downfall was his overconfidence. He was confident that he was powerful enough in his mind. We don't ever go into that at all in the movie. We don't talk about it. And the few times they make these little callbacks, it's because it's something that they do reference to the book. And if you read the book, you're like, okay, I know what they're trying to do here, but they're still failing at it. It's like they took the book and they said, all right, we don't like this. We're going to add a weird monster scene to make Meg look even smarter. We're not going to make her have to have any character development. She's just going to be moody at the beginning and then not moody at the end. And then we're not going to go over the whole fact of how Madeline, I'm going to say her name wrong, Madeline L'Engle, was a Christian, and she spoke about how Jesus fought the darkness, how God was a huge part of it, and I think the three misses were a great idea for the Trinity. You know, you look at Mrs. Who was probably the Holy Spirit, you look at Mrs. Which, who was God, and you look at Mrs. What's-it, who was Jesus Christ, who made that ultimate sacrifice. And so you see that Christian theme, and they're like, no, we're not going to talk about that at all. With special effects, this movie could have been amazing. I mean, it's a short book. You could have taken straight from this book and made something amazing. You're looking at 203 pages. 203 pages. I mean, you had to add stuff to make it work. And in a situation like that, why did you have to add to something like this? There was so much you cut that you had to add things. do not get me started on the Oracle. Zach Galifianakis and his weird, crazy yoga stuff, not good at all. The Oracle was supposed to be happy and was supposed to keep an eye out on him. That was it. That whole scene was stupid. Didn't like it at all. So, read the book. It's fantastic. Ignore the movie. There's no point in it. I would give it maybe, if I was a critic, it'd be thumbs down. It's not good. They could have done so much more with it, and they didn't. So, I want to thank you guys. I made a goal last time for 25 subscribers, and you guys knocked it out of the park. We're up to 30 now, and if we can try to do again, the same thing, maybe 35 subscribers after this video, that would be awesome. I'll put some links in the description for the Goodreads review on this book that I did. And also, I'll put some links in the description if you wanted to pick up the book to own it. I'm so thankful for you guys. If you guys want to try to check me out on Twitter. Also, I'm thinking about starting a Discord for we can talk back and forth when I don't have a video, because I'm making like one video a week. So if you guys wanted to talk in between times, I'd love to do that as well. So let me know what you guys think about that. Please write down in the comments if you think I'm a fool or if you agree with me. Please like the video. It helps it get promoted to the analytics. And I am so thankful you guys came to check this out. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye.